Blue Door selected as service operator for Beaverton Transitional Supportive Housing, BROC. The Regional Municipality of Durham has selected Blue Door as the service operator for the Beaverton Transitional Supportive Housing residents through a comprehensive expression of interest process. With experience launching, operating, and scaling 4 transitional supportive housing programs, Blue Door is a long-standing registered charity offering more than 10 innovative and collaborative housing, employment, and health programs to address the root causes of homelessness. Blue Door is excited to pull from its 41 years of experience as we take on this wonderful opportunity to lead the way in providing dignified support to individuals in need at the new Beaverton Transitional Supportive Housing residence, explained Michael Braithwaite, CEO at Blue Door. Beaverton Transitional Supportive Housing is a 47-unit modular housing development providing accommodation and access to wraparound services. Transitional Supportive Housing helps residents physically and mentally, providing the life skills necessary to transition into permanent housing successfully. Move-in is expected to begin in late 2023, with residents being gradually phased in. Priority access will be given to unsheltered residents and those at risk of homelessness in North Durham who require this level of support. Now that Blue Door has been selected as the service provider, we are one step closer to move in at the Beaverton Transitional Supportive Housing residence and helping people to get back on their feet. This project provides an opportunity to improve the life circumstances of a marginalized population in a healthy environment, and I look forward to the success stories which will come from it, said Stella Danas-Popkonstantinou, Commissioner of Social Services. Additional information regarding Beaverton Transitional Supportive Housing is available at durham.ca/supportive housing.
Seagrave man completes Pacific Crest Trail in 6 months. Courtney McClure, The Standard, Scugog. Seagrave resident Jack Blaney, 21, has successfully hiked the Pacific Crest Trail after almost 6 months. The Pacific Crest Trail runs from Mexico to Canada and is 4,265 kilometers long. Jack started hiking the trail sometime in April and completed his hike September 15th. "I like to pick physical challenges and work and complete them," explained Jack. He anticipated hiking the Pacific Crest Trail would give him a mental challenge because it's a very long hike. According to Jack, the trail is an all-backpacking trail, so most nights he ended up camping in the middle of nowhere. "It's not like walking on a sidewalk or anything," he emphasized, describing the trail. Before committing to the hike, he had to make a few sacrifices. For example, he had to take time away from his job so he could focus on getting ready for the hike. Jack has always been athletic, so he didn't have to really prepare himself physically to take on the trail. However, before tackling the trail, he had gone skiing and went on a few runs in his area. He began hiking the trail alongside his dad. They walked together for about 2 weeks before Jack was on his own. At the start of the trail, Jack and his dad took it easy. He wanted his body to become used to walking long distances every day, so the pair walked about 25 kilometers a day. Afterwards, Jack worked his way up to walking about 32 kilometers or more per day. Some days, Jack was able to hike for about 100 kilometers in one day. To him, that was one of the coolest things about the hike. Obviously, that's quite far for a walk, especially along backpacking trails and carrying a bag full of stuff, he said. Although he was glad he decided to take on the challenge of the Pacific Crest, he said there were some challenges along the way. One major challenge was the changing weather. "It was very cold and rainy for the first few days I was there," he said. "That was tough because we still had to hike. When you're hiking in pouring rain and it's only +2 all the time, and you are about 4 days from the nearest town, it's challenging." Another big challenge for Jack was eating enough while hiking just over 30 kilometers or more every day. There were towns scattered along the trail which Jack was able to hitchhike to and then come back to continue where he left off the next day. Sometimes he was able to buy food from a grocery store and ship it to the next town, so he was prepared ahead of time. However, there were definitely good points to hiking the Pacific Crest Trail, according to Jack. "One of the best things was the people you meet on the trail," he shared. Each year, about 4,000 hiking permits are distributed, so people can hike the Pacific Crest Trail. About halfway through the trail, Jack met a group of 5 other Canadians. The group stayed together for the remainder of their journey. They traveled together for about 2.5 months. The coolest thing was being at the summit of Mount Whitney, California, stated Jack. That's the highest mountain in the contiguous United States. Jack advises anyone interested in pursuing the Pacific Crest Trail to just go for it. You're not going to regret it. For him, the experience of hiking the trail was great. To learn more about the Pacific Crest Trail, please visit www.pcta.org.
Ontario government changes course on the use of Greenbelt lands for housing. Dan Kearns, The Standard. Durham. The Ontario government is reversing course on their original plan to develop the Greenbelt. Earlier this month, the Premier had announced a fulsome review of all the Greenbelt lands would be conducted. At a press conference on Thursday, September 21st, Premier Doug Ford stated, all removed Greenbelt land would be returned to the Greenbelt. Our caucus shared with me what they've heard in their communities. I want the people of Ontario to know I'm listening. I made a promise to you that I wouldn't touch the Greenbelt. I broke that promise, and for that, I'm very, very sorry. I pride myself on keeping our promises. It was a mistake to open the Greenbelt. It was a mistake to establish a process which moved too fast, Premier Ford said. The Premier promised to reverse the changes made to the Greenbelt and said the government won't make any changes to the Greenbelt in the future. Even if you do something for the right reasons, with the best of intentions, it can still be wrong, Premier Ford stated. The changes to the Greenbelt boundary started in November 2022, when material prepared by the Housing Ministry in response to the instruction provided by the Housing Ministry's Chief of Staff and signed by the Housing Minister and the Deputy Minister of the Housing Ministry was presented to Cabinet, according to Auditor General Bonnie Lysyck's report. The changes included removing a total of 15 land sites from the Greenbelt to support the provincial government's plan to increase housing across the province. Online, on social media platform X, formerly known as Twitter, the Mississaugas of Scugog Island First Nation celebrated this decision. Today's reversal on Ontario's plan to open up the Greenbelt to developers shows just how important it is to speak up on important issues, an MSIFN post read. The Auditor General found the original Greenbelt process was biased and lacking transparency, and the removals proceeded without evidence they were needed to meet the housing goals. While Premier Ford maintained his belief that opening the Greenbelt could lead to 150,000 people receiving housing, he said it would be the wrong decision. When I make a mistake, I'll fix it, and I'll learn from it, Premier Ford explained. Uxbridge announces municipal budget timetable. Daryl Knight, The Standard. Uxbridge. The municipal budget is one of the most intensive undertakings performed by councillors, and they recently revealed the tentative schedule for this year's municipal budget deliberations. At a recent council meeting, a report from Treasurer Toby Lee outlined the timetable which was approved by the members of council to begin on Tuesday, January 9th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m., although they cautioned the specific dates are subject to change depending on availability of staff and councillors. The final schedule is expected to be revealed in the coming weeks, but the order of deputations laid out in the report is expected to be close to the final order. As detailed in the report, budget discussions are slated to begin in January and continue for several weeks as department heads appear before councillors to offer further explanation for the projects and initiatives undertaken over the 2024 to 2025 timeframe. Following the discussions, the final municipal budget will be voted on for approval by councillors at a meeting in late January or early February, with the operating and capital budgets scheduled to be adopted in February of 2024. No specific timeframes have been given yet, and the schedule is subject to change. However, the expected order of appearance was listed as public works, township properties and other projects, community centres and halls, the music hall and facilities, fire, clerks, includes clerk's office, bylaw and animal control, township hall, council, CAO and corporate expenditures. Other expenditures includes livestock claims and other expenses. Treasury, development services includes building, planning and committee of adjustment. Heritage, economic development. BIA, arena and parks and trails includes arena, parks and trails, skate park and splash pad. Recreation, culture and tourism includes cultural facilities, heritage, pool, and tourism. Health and safety, library, and wrapping up with financial activities. Ward 4 Councillor Willie Popp noted, discussions with staff are slated to begin in September and will continue to be reviewed and refined through December. As explained by Councillor Popp, this process allows the various township department heads and councillors to have greater clarity heading into the department-by-department budget discussions in January. We're going to harden those numbers in advance and look to have a clearer indication of where we're at, moving that into January versus December, added Councillor Popp. The other thing this allows us to do is to have a clearer line of sight to where we're at in terms of growth, so we're not plugging and playing with a number which we don't have absolute certainty in. It allows our department heads to point with certainty at the projects which are truly meaningful at the end of the day.
4 new inductees to enter Lindsay and District Sports Hall in October. Dan Kearns, The Standard. Kawartha Lakes. The Lindsay and District Sports Hall of Fame will be welcoming a slate of 4 new inductees next month. The induction ceremony will be held on Sunday, October 22nd, at the Victoria Park Armory in Lindsay. Doors will open at 1 p.m. and the ceremony will begin at 2 p.m. The first inductee is Omimi native and sports photographer Klaus Anderson. This will be the first time the Hall has added a sports photographer to its ranks. The second inductee is 28-year-old Harrison Carter, a wakeboarding athlete. Mr. Carter has had success in the sport, both at the provincial and national levels. He has also been given the nickname Silky Smooth. The third inductee is Woodville's Denise Harris. She spent 30 years teaching, coaching, and mentoring figure skaters. Denise Harris is known as a compassionate and dedicated person who has touched the lives of hundreds of young skaters throughout the Kawartha Lakes and Durham region. A press release from the Lindsay and District Sports Hall of Fame read, the last inductee for this year is the 1965-1966 Bob Cajun Ticats Junior D hockey team. Several players from this team went on to play semi-pro and pro hockey. The press release stated this team was considered one of the most talented teams ever out of Bob Cajun and Kawartha region. The Victoria Park Armory is located at 210 Kent Street West in Lindsay.
Welcome to You've Got to Be Kidding, a podcast that offers a different perspective of life around us. Listen now to author Jonathan van Bilsen.
The launch of Season 5 of my talk show will be slightly different from the previous 60 episodes, in that we'll be recording 4 episodes on the stage of Port Perry's Town Hall Theatre. The theatre is celebrating its 150th anniversary, so it's great to be involved. We normally shoot 3 episodes in a day, each featuring 1 guest. In this case, I'll be interviewing 2 guests per show, all of whom are related to the art world. And it's all happening on October 31st from 9 until 4. The stage of the Town Hall is a fantastic venue with excellent lighting and great acoustics. Of course, setting up our cameras, audio equipment, etc. will be a challenge, but nothing our team can't handle. The element I enjoy most about the entire undertaking is meeting the guests. Port Perry has a plethora of artists and artisans, and some of the people on my show that day will be singing, dancing, and even offering me a lesson on acting. One guest will be a medium. Apparently, the Town Hall has a variety of residents who are no longer part of this world. The medium will explain who some of these spirits are and their history to the age-old building. Although this is not a public event, we are allowing anyone who wishes to drop by to do so. It will be a great way to see local talent. However, it is a TV show, so there will be many minutes of downtime. There are so many wonderful events happening at the Town Hall Theatre this fall, including a limited performance by the fantastic classical soprano Leslie Ann Bradley. Born in Port Perry, Leslie Ann now makes her home in New York. I had the pleasure of interviewing her a few years ago, and her show on November 4th will be simply amazing. There are tribute concerts to Garth Brooks, the Eagles, John Lennon, and ABBA. There will be an intimate journey into the spirit realm with Jody Reed, one of the guests on my show on the 31st. The Borellians will be performing here on the Flight Path. Erwin Smith will be creating another of his magical Christmas extravaganzas, and the Durham Chamber Orchestra will be doing their Christmas concert. Our very own SCS Musicals will be performing a holiday cabaret with 4 shows. What a fantastic way to weave through autumn into the festive season. For more information on events at the Town Hall, visit townhalltheatre.ca. And if you want to catch up on my show, check local listings or simply search YouTube for The Jonathan Van Bilsen Show. I'm Jonathan Van Bilsen, and this is You've Got to Be Kidding.
You've Got to Be Kidding was presented by X4 Media with permission from the Standard Media Group. We endeavor to make all information contained in this program as accurate as possible at production time. X4 Media and the Standard Media Group are not responsible for any liabilities resulting from information contained in this program. For more information, please visit x4media.ca.
The Standard Podcast was produced by Greenstream Studio for the Standard newspaper.